everybody. So the Adelson case just goes on and on, doesn't it? Everyone's waiting for news. Everyone's waiting for an arrest, speculating. But it just goes on and on. Every time I pick up an idea, something to pursue, to stitch together, I find other things and go off on these tangents. But I think we found another one today. And somehow, I've never noticed it before. If you have, congratulations. And this won't be new to you. But I'd never seen it. And it's funny because the part that we're picking up on, we have identified before. But for a different reason. I think there's so much with the Adelson case, and it really depends what kind of day you're having, right? What you pick up. You can listen to the same thing. I think because often the content is so long. We've got Wendy's 6-hour interview. We've got Jeff Lacasse times 4. Everybody's testified 18 times. You know, it's so repetitive and long that you space out at different points. You listen to something the first time and, you know, you'll hear something and then think about that while other stuff is being said. So you miss points. It's kind of random. Every time you go into something, you find something new. At least I do. More often than not. I can't watch a single interview without going, look at that, yeah. So I'm going to have a look at this thing that we saw today. Where is it? I'm going to put the interesting bit at the beginning so that all of those people with ADHD can have their quick fix and go about their day. But to those other people that like to sit down and watch things for hours, maybe you've got a long drive, maybe you just need to go to sleep. Either way, there'll be more footage at the end. I think what we'll do is we'll just look at the beginning portions. Then I want to check out the lady's interview. By the way, if anybody knows her name, let me know. I did a bit of digging. I'm sure I've known it before, but I've forgotten, and now I can't find it. And I don't think it's said during her interview, but we'll watch the whole thing. It's only 30 minutes. I want to check out a little bit about what Wendi says about the relationship with Jeff. Because if you didn't know, because I haven't told you, this is about the relationship with Jeff. Anyway, we'll get to it, you'll see.
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate.
So in exactly 3 seconds, we're going to hear Wendi say the thing that we've heard 1,000 times. Of course, that is, Jane, who could have done this? Referring, you know. And then Jane says, oh, is Jeff this much of a lunatic? Why? Because Wendi, following the big argument that she had with Jeff in Gainesville, then there was was it a 2-week break while she was in Miami with the family? Down there with the family and the pool boys, cleaning the pool all day long. Very busy, hands full of cock. Yeah, just a normal single mother cock addict. Apparently, just my opinion, in case you couldn't tell. Don't get all legal on me, okay? It's my opinion that Wendi had her both hands full of cock during the 2 weeks that there was a break after the big blow up in Gainesville. Anyway, then there was, I've lost my key, I have so many keys. I'm always losing my key because I'm a klutz. I'm just a average single mom, cock-loving klutz. And I've lost my key. So could you come over and we'll have our date here and you can wait with me? Because you want to be my savior, don't you, Jeff? Isn't that what you want, Jeff? To pick me up when I'm feeling down and I'm being abused by my ex. Don't you just want to be there for me, Jeff, and wait on my porch for the key man to come in me, which I'll make you eat later, fresh off the plate. Jesus. Where were we? So, big blow up with Jeff, then the uncomfortable yoga, right? Then the letter. There was the letter that she sent to Jeff. My head and my heart are telling me two different things and I can't reconcile them in the way that blah, 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 whatever. I need no contact for this very convenient week when all my life will just be an upheaval. No contact. So it stirred him up. Then the conversation with Jane right before, in between, no contact or... Yeah, they say Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh my God, I'm such a klutz. I don't know the day of the week because I just don't, I'm such... If I didn't have my day planner... Well, you don't want to see me before my coffee. No, God, doesn't she just... That's the other thing I'm noticing a lot more every day, is the amount of times that Wendi talks in... What do you call those things? Platitudes, little sayings, little terms of phrase. She does it almost as her default language pattern style, right? Everything is like, she says to Isom at one point, this is a bit of an extreme one, she says to General Isom at one point, as my mother used to say, you can't have your tushy in two places at once. Okay, that's really long, but you can have them with as few as 2 words. And I think that really says something about a person when they refer to those things. I never like them. If I catch myself saying them, I feel sick. Physically sick, and sometimes I do throw up right after I've said it a little bit in my mouth. Anyway, that's not important today. What is important is what's about to happen in 3 seconds' time, right?
I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, then that's not right.
Who would have done this?
I have just
And
one
are they
idea.
going to come after my kids? Or me? Who's next?
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I don't even think of Jeff. I hope to God not.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I think you should. I think Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff,
Who's a friend of
Us.
Jane's.
but
And
who's jealous.
yeah.
Okay, so many tells in that. And if you're listening, Wendi, it's my opinion that this little scene was hysterically badly acted. No talent, 0, in looking like a person doing a real thing. You can't do that. Let's just unpack it a little bit word by word, and then we're moving on to the nugget of the day. I better check the chat to see that we're still live, because this is our first show on the main channel for a week, more than a week. If it's working, I really should have had the chat up from the beginning. Let's bring it up and put it on the screen. Yes, that'll be nice and social, interactive. Studio. Hey Soap, you're in the wrong key. It's A sharp minor today. Yes. God, fucking hell. I just looked and saw 25 viewers and thought, oh, this is busy tonight, because on the shows that we've been doing on the Metrics Live platform, it's been very low. But of course, that's an unknown platform, really, so to be expected. But it kind of says something about where I'm at when I see 25 viewers and think, fucking hell, that's busy. We used to have hundreds and hundreds, and we will again. Oh, we definitely want to put ads on to annoy everybody and get me paid. Medium, that should do. Okay, good. Neville, darling, Christina, Phoebe. Hello. Volume. There needs volume. Shit. Okay, we'll go back and play everything again. Okay, good. Irene, how you doing? Okay, let's go back.
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate. I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, that's
Jane,
not right.
who would have done this?
Okay. I should have kept the bit of the conversation before, because just before this, Wendi is laughing her ass off at her own mistake of saying, she says to Jane, she introduces Jane to Sarah Latour, the victim advocate who's been brought in to care for Wendi. Actually got someone in there to look out for her emotional well-being, basically, is what her duties are in the room. And part of what Wendi does is to say, oh, this is Sarah, she's a victim advocate. Oh, I told her that you used to be a victim advocate. It's like my mistake, because I'm such a klutz. I'm such a normal, single mother, cock-loving klutz.
I have just
And
one
are they
idea.
going to come after my kids?
But the point of what I was saying is that it was kind of funny, because the conversation did kind of steer away from Wendi. Which she really doesn't like. Something I was reminded of the other day, I was looking at Wendi Adelson's first testimony from 2019, and Georgia Kappelman really made a point of saying, The question was, and when did you deliver the papers to Mr. Markel filing for divorce? And Wendi said, I think it was in the fall of, I had just finished my undergrad, 2012. And Georgia Kappelman says, oh yeah, 10/9/2012 sound about right, which of course is Dan Markel's birthday. And I was having a looking up the kind of dark psychology at play in an individual who chooses quite deliberately to deliver significant, crushing, at least it would have been to him at the time, news, life-changing news, right? On someone's birthday. The design of that is incredibly sick. And I think what it's really about is on Dan Markel's birthday, which Wendi Adelson would have surely experienced a number of those, from 04 onwards, right? 04, right the way up to when she left. So that's a good 8 birthdays that she would have experienced with Dan Markel, when the spotlight would have been on him, at least somewhat, right? The party was for him, the presents were for him, the restaurant was for him, the whatever event they went to was for him, the special sex was for him. But, you know, she probably had her own little sick joke in giving him treats, sexual treats, on his birthday, having probably just fucked someone in her office that afternoon. So maybe she liked that. Maybe, my opinion, perhaps. But yeah, she wouldn't have liked that because the spotlight wasn't on her, which is what reminded me of it in this scene when we're looking at, I know it didn't play, but what was just said beforehand was this thing where Jane then started talking about Sarah, saying, oh, how long have you worked here? No, what's your last name? What's your last name? Tell me your last name. And Sarah's like saying, oh, I've been here for 2 years. The conversation has gone away from Wendi, and she brings it back with this dramatic, huge signal to Jane. The cue. And Wendi announces the question almost as a scream in the room. A silence falls on the room. It's attention grabbing for sure. She's good at that. Perhaps, my opinion. Hang on, what was I going to say? It silences the room, and Jane, the pressure stays on. Wendi stares at Jane, and that's another thing. Also common in sales. Stare at them. Stare at them until they sign. And then when Jane doesn't, there's a bit too much of a pause, and Wendi reinforces the statement with a fear signal. Are they going to come after me? And first it's the kids, right? Are they going to come after my kids? The kids could be in danger. Jane, we need to solve this. Think hard, Jane. Who could it be that would have a beef with me or with Dan at this time? Who could be so emotionally disturbed? Oh, that's right. I just had a conversation with you 2 days prior about my jealous, rage face ex-boyfriend that I'm taking a break from, a no contact break, but basically the letter made it sound like it didn't look good for our future. Who could be so triggered right now that they would do something rash? Oh, Jeff, you say? I'd completely forgotten about Jeff until now, but that's probably because you introduced us, Jane, so that's why you thought of him first, right after my heavily pressurized, targeted cue question. Wendi, do you think that everybody doesn't know that? If it's true, allegedly, perhaps, my opinion. Do you honestly think anyone doesn't see that? You know? And the thing is that you also, Wendi, did it with Purple Shirt, which we'll get to. We'll show the clips, the relevant clips, and then we'll watch the whole damn thing. And then I want to take a look at what you said, Wendi, about Jeff. And I want to look at it from the perspective, the Daniel Rashbaum perspective, definitely, because that is your best moment in the sun.
Or me. Who's next?
It's only a few seconds. We'll do the whole thing again.
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate. I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, that's not right.
Who would have done this?
Okay, what a tense moment for Wendi, maybe, perhaps. Did Jane get it? Is she gonna take my cue? Is she gonna read my signal? Am I telepathically conveying what I want her to say? Is she being susceptible to my, conveyed order? She might stumble on her words. I know, I'll up the ante with endangering the children, myself, and then who's next? Anyone could be next. We need to do something, Jane. Think hard, Jane.
I have just
And
one
are they
idea.
going to come after my kids? Or me? Who's next?
Okay, 3 questions. Pressure, pressure, pressure. I want you to speak now, Jane. We're all looking at you, Jane. You've got the puzzle pieces, Jane. Put them together and make us all see the picture on the box. And that picture is a picture of Jeff Lacasse. Rage face. Michelle, how you doing? Good to see you. Spacey Dove, good to see you. Celia Triolo, good to see you too. Good to see everybody. Good to be back on this great channel. The main channel.
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
Hey, Wendi, I bet if you wish you could go back in time, you would have tried better to make a face look like you're just realizing information that you weren't waiting for on purpose.
I didn't even think of Jeff. I hope to God. To God not.
I just want to go back a little bit.
To come after my kids. Or me. Who's next?
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I didn't even think of Jeff. I hope to God not.
Why do you hope to God not? Those words, even with the whole bad acting, in my opinion, perhaps, even with the whole bad acting shit show, The wording is off. I hope to God not. She sounds like she's like talking to another parent while they're waiting to pick up their kids. And the parent is saying, oh, has Eddie been in trouble again? Any more trouble with Eddie? And the parent says, oh, I hope to God not, kind of suggesting, because there'll be fucking hell to pay if there has been, he'll be in trouble. Eddie will be in trouble if he's been in trouble. Apart from that, the kind of character nuance, there's this thing of, I hope to God not. Why would you hope to God not? Because the fact is that Danny's been shot, and you know what I mean? It doesn't really make a difference. What are you saying? Because you would be more traumatized by that? I don't even get it.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. And then, did Wendy turn her head first, or did Sarah? How did she jump there? Because she almost gives Sarah the cue to ask that question. Did Wendy turn her head first, or did Sarah speak first? Say it again.
Is this much of a lunatic?
I don't even think of Jeff. I hope to God not.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I think you should. I think that
Hard to say, isn't it? I mean, they almost happen simultaneously. I think Wendy probably picked up on a breath or something that indicated that Sarah was going to speak and turned her head almost at the precise same time. Yeah, but great question, huh? May I ask who Jeff is? As a representative of law enforcement in this room right now, I feel it's my duty to inquire who this very jealous, suspicious ex of yours is. And Wendy's like, yeah, of course, yeah, please do, yeah. Which again, you wouldn't do. If you just realized that, you'd be going back to the last words you heard him say, right? You'd be thinking about something he did, which, you'd be flashing back in your mind. Oh my God, could it have been him? Yeah, remember that when in Gainesville, when he threw that coffee table, or he threw the coffee table at my day planner with all the Daniel Sack meetings written in. Meeting Daniel Sack in Orlando. Jeff's like going through her GPS in her car to see where the last places that she put in were. I mean, if that's become part of your relationship, where you, and quite rightly, I guess, Jeff felt the need to, check his instincts. Yeah, but if that's become something, then you need to go. Just go.
Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff.
Who's a friend of Jane's.
Quick on that one, huh? Right? Just get that straight in there. Who's a friend of Jane's? Again, her energies and her focus are on managing the introduction of Jeff, right? How is Jeff being perceived by the only representative of law enforcement in the room, 2 years on the job, out of social studies, Sarah Latour, which is basically brand new. 2 years on the job. I mean, there's probation periods longer than that. Maybe. Think about your first job and then 2 years into it. And then think of 10 years into it. It's different, isn't it?
And
But who's jealous?
yeah,
Yeah. Managing the information. Okay, let's just that. I know we should get to the main point, but I just want to see that one more time. Let's do the whole thing. Fuck it.
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate. I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, that's not right.
Who would have done this?
These huge breaths, right? And that's the thing Wendi does. She just throws. I think what Wendy's discovered for her pattern that works on people as she navigates her various schemes and evil deeds, perhaps, is this sort of just carpet bombing thing, blitzkrieg, right? It almost doesn't matter that she's such a bad actor or what emotion comes out, as long as it's big and maintaining focus, or maintaining the focus on her, right? This almost explosive thing. And I think when she's breathing there in the run up to the announcement, it's almost like running and jumping off a cliff. She doesn't know where she's going necessarily. I mean, she does go in all sorts of different directions. Jane's come into the room, which is amazing, just in and of itself, right? And maybe it's not that amazing, because you got to think that this is not a normal interrogation video that's been released, clearly, right? She's brought into the room, we've all seen it 1,000 times, and the beginning, General Isom says, there was a shooting, Danny's been shot, he's not going to make it, right? And Wendi starts to go into something, and then Isom says, well, first I need to establish where you were and what you were doing and blah, 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 blah. And that's about as deep as the fucking investigation goes, because immediately after that, Isom is fooled into becoming some kind of kind-hearted uncle that will always give you sweets before dinner, right? I mean, and have a few himself. So from then on, she's a victim. And the thing that I've heard a lot of people say, and I've said, Jane, a friend, another potential witness of certain things. If it were Jeff that killed him, then she'd be an important witness, right? Having knowledge and so on. Hang on. I've forgotten what I was just about to say.
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate. I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, that's not right.
Who would have done this?
I have just
And
one
are they
idea.
going to come after my kids?
Pressure. And it's amazing. She's almost putting the welfare and safety of the children at stake if Jane doesn't mention Jeff. Right? Jeff is in the forefront of Jane's mind at the moment, because the last time that Wendi saw Jane, 2 days prior, I think it's They say Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. A couple of days prior, whatever, was the big conversation about Jeff. Bringing up are they going to come after my kids? Or me? Who's next? Could be anyone. The whole town is in danger unless we get Jeff. And you're the one, Jane. You're the one that's going to give us that clue, that perspective that I gave to you and lied about. That I basically created the quote-unquote jealous rage by, stirring this guy's emotions with my hot, cold thing, identifying him as a, hero kind of thing. Jeff wanted to put all of his own needs aside, right? And clean her kitchen floors. Because she needs help. Because this maniac Markel is making her life a misery. And I'm her knight in white satin armor. Yeah. And then making him get invested. The kids should call you daddy. Don't get a 2-seated car. All that stuff. Move in. You want to move in to Aqua Ridge? While at the same time being really obvious about fucking everyone in Tallahassee and other places. DC, that guy, Mr. Cool for the Denver Broncos, the coach, the Coca-Cola scholar, and potentially that old man that was going to give you a job, a $1 million job. Yeah, and then Jane's been brought in. Fantastic. But as we will see, Purple Shirt got brought in too.
Me.
Which we'll go straight
Who's
on
next?
to. Enough of Wendi now.
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I don't even think of Jeff.
Yeah.
I hope to God not.
I hope to God not. I didn't even think of Jeff. Why was that so bad? It was almost no effort. No effort at all. It was almost like I don't care. It was almost like a dry run of a play where you just go through your lines and walk the places on the stage, but no effort. No, it's just a dry run, right? Just to get the fucking lighting positions, for the guy up there to do the set up the light positions or something like that. It was like no effort, nothing. Big moment as well, and it was almost like a throwaway. I hope to God not. I didn't even think of Jeff. And then Sarah Latour.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think you should. I think
I think that head turn being so quick there as well. Can we just, I know this is taking ages to get through, but it's testament to how fucking Mandelbrot set this case is. You just go deeper and deeper. It never fucking ends. We're never going to see another case like this. This is it. I don't know any other case where you can take 30 seconds of footage and talk about it for 40 minutes, pretty much. Maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know. Yeah, but the quickness of the head turn shows an acute, hyper-aroused awareness, of her surroundings. It wasn't like Sarah cleared her throat. I think in Wendy's peripheral, she would have seen her maybe tug her skirt or move her chin or something like that that indicated that she was getting ready to speak. And the point is that Wendi was aware of that out of the corner of her eye, and that's not congruent with being in a moment where you're supposedly just having this like, oh my God, it was Jeff. I never even thought about Jeff. Oh, you know, you almost wouldn't see what's straight in front of you. You would be having flashes of Jeff. Yes, it could be Jeff. And he said that thing, you know. But Wendi is catching an indicator from Sarah Latour that allows her to turn her head almost before Sarah speaks. And that shows an acute awareness, not congruent with being in a moment of revelation.
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I don't even think of Jeff. I hope to God not.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
think you should. I think Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff.
Who's a friend of Jane's.
And that the quickness of that correction, and I say correction because it almost feels like that Jane, what Jane said was like what a student put in on a test, and then the teacher marked it with a red pen as a correction. Who's a friend of Jane's? Exclamation point. You know, very quick, like the quickness of just slipping it in there was like, okay, I don't want to interrupt Jane's run or, you know, stop her from speaking because she's going to take the ball from here. You know, that she's picked up, thankfully. Great for me. Glad we had that meeting. Glad I had this, the foresight to put this plan in place, potentially. Maybe. Opinion. And she's actually been brought into the room. So I do not want to interrupt, but I do just want to say that who's a friend of Jane's, right? I want to get that on the record as he's being introduced so that it's clear from the beginning, right? That's why it was quick. In a sentence, it was quick because she didn't want to stop Jane from speaking now that she's picked up the ball, the Jeff ball, right? She's picked up the Jeff ball. She's running towards Sarah. Don't want to interrupt, but I do want to monitor and make sure that your output is correct. So continue, please, Jane.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
think you should. I think Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff.
Who's a friend of Jane's. And
Who's jealous.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, the way that she just gave the affirmation of was as if maybe if Wendi, one of her sons had chicken pox, okay, and they were suffering. And Wendi was speaking to another parent whose son had already had chicken pox. And they, you know, Wendi was upset because the boy was suffering, speaking to another mother, and the other mother said something along the lines of, oh, you know, as soon as it's passed, it's not going to be long, it'll be fine. And then, you know, it's done. It's just done. And that's when that type of affirmation of, would be appropriate. It's not appropriate here. But I've had enough of Wendi now. We're moving on, we're moving forward to Purple Shirt, who has some news about Wendi. We've broken down just the bits that cover the relevant portions. It's this, the other plant, and then we'll watch the whole thing because it's quite good throughout. I mean, there's a lot to pick up on. I think it's widely regarded as a nothing interview, and in some ways that's right, but it tells us a lot about where the investigation was at that moment in time, because it's very fresh. It's about an hour after Wendi has left the building. We've got Purple Shirt in the same interrogation room, the same fucking chair, I think.
I also know Wendy's dating someone because she brought him to my son's birthday party at the park. I don't remember. I mean, I kind of remember what he looks like, but I don't remember his name or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm Jeffrey Lacasse, Jeffrey. Excuse me. Last name spelled Lacasse.
And how long ago was it?
That was May 21st, I want to say.
Okay, so the point of this is that Wendi brought Jeff to the birthday party of Purple Shirt's son, right, in May, after not having seen her for a year. Bearing in mind they've known each other since law school. I mean, she met both Dan and Wendi at around the same time when they were engaged, so pre-2006. So, long-standing friend to both of them. Wendi hadn't seen her for a full year, then showed up to her son's birthday party with Jeff 2 months before the murder, okay?
Middle of the week. Let's see. I don't know if there's date information on it. Actually, if I go to these, I'm pretty sure it was May 21st. Yeah, it was May 21st.
What did he look like?
He was tall, skinny. I'm sorry. He was definitely 5'8" to 6 foot. I'm short, so narrowing it down much. Right, exactly. Narrowing it down from that is a little difficult, but he was definitely lanky. Blonde hair, kind of. I don't want to say mohawk, but clean cut, but then hair kind of pull it up in the front, and then.
You see, I mean, Jeff was obviously on display enough at the birthday party for her to describe him pretty accurately. 2 months later, didn't remember the name, but it wasn't like he was just sat down waiting on he was probably being really active with the kids, right? Showing what a good, caring, kind, playful man he is. After that nightmare Markel. Do you think Wendi told him to up the mohawk on that day? Make it really. Could you maybe just, put it way up, the kind of thing that someone would remember. I think we've actually got a picture of Jeff from that day. We got a picture of Jeff from that day. Can we pull it up? Oh, well, look, I mean, I'm not missing an opportunity to show a face like this. Boom, look at that. Oh. I think I'm going to get this printed. Large, very large. In a really nice frame, something that will last for generations. Oak. Where's the picture of Jeff? Mohawk Jeff. Yeah. I don't know if that's the right look for him at all. I don't know if it works with his head chemistry. What do you think, Michelle? Let's go to the expert. Have we, what tips could we give Jeff to not have a mohawk like that? I mean, why? And he's wearing clothes. He's obviously at something where he would have checked himself in the mirror while getting dressed. And he chose this. No good. No good.
He wore glasses. I don't really remember what the frames look like. Pale complexion. And that's about all I remember. I went through, on the way over here, I went through my phone to see if he was in any of the pictures.
So what have we got? Lanky, pale complexion, glasses, mohawk. I mean, it's not a great... It's not the... you wouldn't read out those features to a group of women and expect many of them to jump up and say, "Who is this guy?"
That were taken, and he's not.
But obviously they wouldn't know how, he can make a fucking kitchen floor sparkle and shine.
I know she'd said they've been dating. I think she said she met him in October of last year. But I mean, aside.
Right, so, and bringing that up, I mean, that's a detail, isn't it? Long-standing friend of Danny's and Wendy's, and as we'll see when we look at the lady Purple Shirt's full interview, Purple Shirt was certainly aware of Dan's relationship with Amy and how well it was going, which makes me think that Wendi, if Dan felt close enough to Purple Shirt to share with her that kind of information, it makes me think that in Wendy's eyes, Purple Shirt is an enemy by default. Right? Does anybody disagree with that? I mean, we've heard it said from the Greenbergs about Team Danny, Team Wendi. Even they said it themselves, and they did expect people to choose, and so on and so on and so on. So it's pretty clear to me, even though it's not clear to Purple Shirt herself, that Dan regarded Purple Shirt as Team Danny, and the fact that if he told her how well it was going with Amy, he didn't regard her as Team Wendi, did he? Because that would get back to her. And you might say, well, maybe he wanted it to get back to her. I don't think so. That's the kind of thing Wendi does. Send these messages through people. Take a picture of you and the boys outside a church in Tallahassee saying "New Beginnings." It'll get back to him. Within minutes, he'll be getting phone calls from people he knows. They do that. That's part of their hallmark. Grapevine manipulation. But yeah, it's pretty clear to me that Wendi would have regarded Purple Shirt as the enemy. So it's unusual that she's showing up at her son's birthday party after not seeing her for a full year, right? Another indicator that Wendi regards her as Team Danny and therefore the enemy, right? So why are you showing up to the son's birthday? Unless there's another purpose, and of course that purpose is to display Jeff as my new boyfriend that I met last October, who's involved enough with my kids that it's moving in a serious direction, as is clear from me bringing him to this event. You know? Great to see you. Oh, we've really got to get back together. I've been so busy, and with the divorce, are you going through one yourself? Well, if you ever need to talk, no, it's been too long, blah, 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 blah. Right? Did all of that sort of conversation happen there, Wendi? Perhaps. What else was I going to say? Now, the great thing is also, and Wendi is quite, allegedly, efficient like this, or at least tries to be. She always tries to get two birds with one stone. This showing up to the event serves two purposes. One, it displays the new boyfriend to Purple Shirt, announces that relationship so that there's another witness that is aware of it, right? That's one purpose it serves. And the other purpose is that it's the kind of thing that, it's the kind of intimate involvement that I'm sure Jeff would have taken as an indicator of their relationship moving into a more, a closer, more serious situation. If they'd have had an argument just before, when was Gain? No, that was after, wasn't it? But there were other issues in the relationship throughout, right? So if there had been an argument, and then as a reconcile, why don't you come? I'm not doing anything. I don't want to go out. I don't want to see dinner and a movie again. Jeff's only date. How many times has he said that? I mean, maybe because he's testified so many times, he's always referring to the same time, but it makes it sound like his only idea for a date. Oh, what do you think? Dinner and a movie? Or is it the other way around? It's cooler to do the other way around, isn't it? I don't know. It depends. I think it's pretty fucking boring either way. But yeah, two purposes. She does that a lot. And quite cleverly. I mean, I got to give it to her. When you break it down and see the pattern, yeah. But that's the kind of thing you can do when you have no moral center, right? If you don't have any voice within you saying, I don't know, this is a bit fucking, it doesn't feel good to cause this much misery on purpose and to do all these things. But if you've got no moral center, then I guess it's easier to think and scheme these plans out in a very intrinsic way, which she certainly seems to do with some skill. Some. just in the audacious meter.
Not, I don't know anything about him.
What so he teaches at law school?
Yeah, he teaches criminal law and criminal procedure.
How long has he been doing that?
Okay, and then I really don't like Investigator Cherry. He did the Jeff interview, and Investigator Cherry always seems to go for the most basic of assumptions and just completely stick with it. He's now gone completely back on to Dan Markel. And, I mean, was there anything to note there? We'll look at it when we go through the whole thing in a minute.
He's been at this law school for... Wendi and I have recently talked more often. So, I mean, there's been more conversation recently with us, but we haven't seen each other one-on-one. She came to my house yesterday to drop...
She came to the house yesterday, the Thursday. Dan killed on the Friday, Wendi at Purple Shirt's house on Thursday. After not having seen her since the birthday party with Jeff, and then previously not having seen her for a full year while the divorce was going on, because she was considered Team Danny completely, right? Until there's a reason to use her for something. And the thing is that I think Purple Shirt actually got in touch with Wendi. She's going to go through all this and tell us. Got in touch with Wendi for advice. She said that the Markel boys seemed very well adjusted to the divorce. And by that I would take it that she meant spoiled, perhaps. But, you know, was having some marital problems herself and looking for womanly advice on how to deal with the situation. So got in touch with Wendi. And Wendi probably took that as a good opportunity to go, oh, look, another puppet I can use and show Jeff. This is my new boyfriend, Jeff. We're getting serious, but I think he's a bit jealous and crazy and a rage thug and could do anything if pushed. So, if anything happens to me or anyone we know, be sure to tell the police about Jeff. And that's another thing that Wendi seems to have some good instinct for, is identifying who police will be speaking to. Obviously the easy ones of Jeff and whatever, but you know, she got Jane into the room. She'd already planted Jane, perhaps, and Purple Shirt's being interviewed. Now, I don't know the circumstances of why Purple Shirt is being interviewed. I mean, she's a mutual friend of Dan and Wendi. I mean, I suppose that she could have been one of the last people dialed in his phone, something like that. A recent text, and they called her in to ask if what he'd said recently, if there was anything that they should know, right? Because it doesn't seem like she's come in here to deliver information that she thinks might be useful. She seems a little confused about being in here, why she's here, but happy to help and, you know, whatever. I mean, she doesn't seem like it's really sunk in yet, but it's right this day, isn't it? So it's all unbelievable, I guess.
Boston clothes that the boys had outgrown for my son, and brought me some soup because I had a bladder procedure yesterday. But that's the first time I've seen her since the party, and the party was the first time I had seen her since.
And the party back in May.
Yeah.
Another double whammy, double purpose tactic potentially from Wendi is go and see Purple Shirt the day before Danny is killed, which would have been 4 days after closing no contact with Jeff for a week, a very, very convenient week, the week which Danny was shot, and you moved to Miami quickly. Having already packed, potentially. And only the day after, having a big conversation with Jane about jealous Jeff, rage thug Jeff. Purple Shirt doesn't say explicitly what Wendi mentioned the day before, but it's very possible that she said, oh, you know, rage thug Jeff went off again. Yeah, I didn't know who he was. I'd never seen that face. Or whatever. But also brought soup around because Purple Shirt had had a bladder procedure, and also brought clothes that Ben and Lincoln had outgrown. Which, apart from being something that would be quite typical to do when you move house, right? Because I think usually when clothes are outgrown, they stay in a closet for a while or in a drawer, and they're just not worn. Right? I think that's common. That happens. But you gotta think, when you're moving house and you're putting everything in boxes and trying to pack as space consciously as possible to minimize the number of trips that you have to do, then you're not going to be packing clothes that the boys had outgrown, right? Now, there might be other times when you decide to go and visit a friend that you haven't seen for 2 months, and then a full year before that haven't maintained a close relationship with, but have reconnected with recently at this very convenient time for a plant. There are other times when you might bring clothes that the boys have outgrown around to a friend's house. But it would certainly be consistent with moving, because you don't want to be packing stuff that you are going to give away after you get to your destination. It's a good opportunity to to jettison some of the shit out of your life that you don't need when you move house. Don't need that. Don't need that. What am I doing with this? Don't need that. I mean, that's probably about 2/3 of everything I own is like that. Yeah. So how many things are going on there? We don't know if the breakup with Jeff was mentioned to Purple Shirt. We don't know that for sure. We do know that she brought soup, a caring gesture. When was the last time you saw Wendi? Oh, yesterday, when she brought me soup because I had a bladder procedure. If Wendi anticipated that this Purple Shirt be spoken to by police because she's a recent contact in either Wendi or Dan's phone, or just because she's a mutual friend, or because she... whatever, right? It's a murder investigation. They speak to as many people as possible. Great bit of character building there, isn't it? I know. I'll do a really kind-hearted, good gesture that shows I'm a caring person by bringing that Purple Shirt lady soup because of her bladder procedure. And bring clothes round to show that I'm a single mom with 2 growing boys. And a charitable person, a thoughtful person. Yeah. And whether or not breakup with Jeff was mentioned, we don't know for sure. It's quite possible. It's certainly, with the coupling of bringing Jeff to the birthday party. This is my new boyfriend, serious enough to bring to this event, and that I've been seeing since October. Let's get together sometime.
In May. And that was the first time I'd seen her in.
So it's been really been, not to sound callous, but it's been more about, the conversation been more about your situation than what's really going on with her.
Yeah. I mean, she had told me about the boyfriend. Her and I would talk a lot about getting together. And
Okay, there where she says she had told me about the boyfriend. Is there anything on her expression there? Does that sound like she's talking about some problem with the boyfriend, or just that he existed?
Been more about, the conversation been more about your situation than what's really going on with her.
yeah. I mean, she had told me about the boyfriend. Her and I would talk a lot about getting together, and then we just didn't.
Something would happen.
An investigator Cherry pisses me off because he's almost closing the door on something, right? He says, oh, so the conversation was really more about your situation with your own shitty life problems and relationship problems, women stuff. You just, it was about you, He's like clearing it and just going, oh, so that was nothing? Oh, so that was all just stuff about you? So we don't need it. So what about the... And then she brings it back. She says, well, she told me about the boyfriend. And I think that's as much as we get. Investigator Cherry doesn't pick that apart at all. Bearing in mind, not 2 hours before, Wendi was sat right in that chair saying, Jeff sounds crazy when I talk about him like this, all those things, Jane was in there, standing right there, going, I've told them that I would be looking into Jeff Lacasse. No, he drove out of town. He's on the way to Tennessee. They'll track him down in Tennessee. Hey, thank you so much, Mary, for 2 cups of coffee on buymeacoffee.com/true crime metrics. Mary says, I'm losing hope that Wendi will ever be arrested. I feel like I solved that puzzle recently, but I've completely forgotten. I stitched something together with a couple of theories and made a brand new one, and it worked. And it gave reason to everything. It excused why there hadn't been an arrest, why, but maybe it'll come back to me. I hope that it does.
Exactly. Either.
My wife does that all the time.
Right.
I'm getting together with so-and-so, and it's like an hour till, and she's like, oh yeah, they canceled.
Right. Either I'm tired
Yeah.
or the kids are sick, or
Yeah.
there's lots of that,
It's always
especially at
something comes
preschool.
Yeah.
So, and we just hadn't really had a chance to do that. We actually talked about it again, doing that next week, when she was over last night. But, and she messaged me this morning talking about the soup, and that was at like 9 o'clock. So, but just asking if it was okay.
Once you heard that something happened,
And she messaged her this morning about 9 o'clock, asking her how was the soup. Not how are you feeling after my loving soup, after your bladder procedure. How was the soup? knowing full well that anybody is going to say, "Oh, you got to give me a recipe for that because I've never had soup that good." No one's going to say, "Yeah, you ever heard of salt? You ever heard of this thing called pepper? Kind of mushy. Yeah. Kind of mushy. What was that, like old soup?" No one's going to say that. But yeah, Wendi really wanted to get the soup home. Hit that one home. Better message her the morning of the murder. Just 2 hours before Danny was shot in the head. Wendy's texting Purple Shirt to say, "So how was the soup? How amazing am I to make you that soup?"
Did something jump out at you? Just says, "Oh, I really wonder about that one thing."
No, I mean, of course, everybody, Scott asked me if Wendy was stable, and, and I did share with him, and, Dan had told me during the divorce, or right after the divorce, that she had had some depression issues and some postpartum issues, and that they were talking about doing counseling, but that they never did that before she moved out, or changed the locks, whatever. But I mean, I saw her last night and she seemed fine. She was awkward, but that's because my husband was there and she didn't, I don't know if she realized that he was going to be there.
And to anybody out there who still wants to say that, "Oh no, General Isom knew all along. That's why he kept her in. That's why he didn't arrest her, to keep her talking, because he didn't want to put pressure on her, blah, 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 blah." This interview is the same day, but after Wendi Adelson's interview. There are no questions about Wendi. Even here, when Investigator Cherry's question was, "Since it happened, has anything, hit you where it was like, oh, that thing," or something like that? And Purple Shirt says, "Well, of course, there's the usual stuff of, Scott asked me, is Wendi stable?" And I was like, yeah, but she's a bit depressed after the divorce, but, that's normal. It's almost, the witness, Purple Shirt, is brushing that away, like, "Oh, of course people are gonna," but that's just gossip. People love to gossip, and Investigator Cherry is quite happy to not dig, right? So there's no way that Wendi left the building and Isom spoke to the other investigators on the team and said, "Hey, it's definitely Wendi." So any other witness that comes in, make sure to ask a lot of questions about Wendi, which is what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
Because of your situation.
Exactly.
Okay.
I didn't take that as her being awkward,
Right, I get you.
because of her life.
Well, you probably should have done. In fact, that's probably what is wrong with Wendi 24 hours a day. So let's just jump on over to Rashbaum. Where is he?
I want to talk a little bit about Jeff Lacoste. You first met Mr. Lacoste in the fall of 2013.
Yes,
It was casual at first.
it was.
You were dating other people as well.
I was.
It got more serious around March of 2014.
That's right.
Fair to say he was in love with you?
I don't really remember. I don't think I could say, but it was more serious.
Okay. You weren't so sure about him. Is that fair to say?
I think my feelings developed over time,
And then they undeveloped?
and then they undeveloped.
You were very different people from very different backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a Disney princess, and he is what is he? Army brat, Air Force. You're from very different backgrounds. What does that mean? Like class or caste?
He didn't spend much time with your parents, right?
I think maybe he met them once.
He wanted to meet them more than once.
Yeah, maybe he met them once at some unmemorable, but he wasn't very memorable. Kind of pushy, kind of needy.
That's right. He didn't like that he didn't get to see them more times.
I think he wanted to be more integrated into my life.
Integrated into my life. He wanted to be more integrated into my life. Can you imagine? The witless peasant.
Jeff Lacoste met Charlie Adelson one time in March of 2014, right?
That's right.
He accompanied you on a trip with law students, right?
I used to run an alternative spring break, and he came with me.
You used to run an alternative spring break. Handing out name tags. Oh no, sorry. First, making sure that they're all spread out in alphabetical order on a big table, right? And then standing there as people come in. It's a bit like the same job when people stand at the door at Walmart and say, "Welcome to Walmart," or whatever they say. Hello, how are you doing today? Are you looking forward to this experience at Walmart today? Keep an eye out for our special discounts that make it seem like we give you value in your pathetic life. Yeah, run. I used to run, back when I used to run a alternative spring break. I mean, that makes it sound like it's a swinger thing again, doesn't it? The Adelsons have this strange... Why does everything they do and say come back to some sort of big bowl of car keys?
And you decided to come down to South Florida for a day or two, right?
That's right.
And you had dinner at a place called Yardbird, right?
That's right.
Are you aware that happened on March 11th, 2014?
No, I don't remember the date, just that it was during the spring break.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Sorry, I could refer back to my day planner, but Jeff Lacasse threw a coffee table at it, and March 11th was all, stained with coffee, so I can't read the date. Plus, I only write things in coded messages, so I can remember them in my secret plan that no other human being on planet Earth will ever be able to decipher. I got the idea reading the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown on one of my trips to... Where did she go?
You remember sitting outside on the patio?
I do.
And it was you and Mr. Lacoste and Charlie and a woman named Catherine Magbanowa. Do you recall that?
That's right.
Who was Charlie's girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
Rashbaum mispronounces so many people's names that it's kind of surprising that he does so well with Magbanowa. I mean, if he messes up Lacoste. I want to talk about Jeff Lacoste. Nobody says it like that. And then, what's the other one he totally fucks up? Dolce Vitae.
Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you at that dinner?
No.
Oh, I love this. Another classic. Another, a bit kind of similar to, I didn't even think about Jeff. Wendy's revelation, right? Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you during that dinner? And then this almost as if a chill went down her spine. Somebody was watching us, and I didn't even know. They're watching us right now, aren't they?
Are you aware that he was contemplating running your brother over with his car at that dinner?
Hang on, I gotta play that one more time. She worked on that, didn't she? Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you during that dinner? No.
And a woman named Catherine Magbanua, do you recall that?
That's right.
Who was Charlie's girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you at that dinner?
No.
Are you aware that he... I just want to see it one more time, maybe on 0.75 speed, to see when she does the first gesture. Is it before he completes the sentence? I think it might be.
Catherine Magbanua, do you recall that?
That's right.
Who was Charlie's girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you at that dinner?
No.
She reacts at the beginning of the word watching. Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching? I mean, that question hasn't been completed. Are you aware? I mean, it could have been anything. There was no need to react at the word watching. It could have been, are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching Jurassic Park 2 in a motel the night before your husband was killed? You know? The word watching doesn't have anything to react to. Now, you could say, well, they were in the context of the Yardbird dinner. So maybe Wendi assumed that he was going to say watching you at that dinner. But that's bullshit, because lawyers change subjects like that all the time. Go off everywhere. I know Daniel Rashbaum, whenever he does it, announces to the jury, let's change gears a little bit for the jury. Everything's for the jury with Daniel Rashbaum, or his client, Donna. But also, she reacted at the word watching. Let's see it one more time on true speed.
It was you and Mr. Lacoste and Charlie and a woman named Catherine Magbanua. Do you recall that?
That's right.
Who was Charlie's girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
Are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching you at that dinner?
I mean, that's solid. That's irrefutable. That's irrefutable. She reacted before the word watching was completed. That's worth something. I mean, are you aware that Sigfredo Garcia was watching porn on his cell phone while on shift at Costa Masonry? Whatever it was called. It could have gone anywhere. There wasn't anything to react to.
No.
Are you aware that he was contemplating running your brother over with his car at that dinner?
No.
Oh, it's so spooky. Oh, it's so creepy. I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm finding so much things out about what all happened. I didn't know anything. Nothing. I bring soup to all my friends.
After dinner, you and Jeff Lacoste stayed at Charlie's house, right?
We did.
Miss Magbanua wasn't there, right?
I don't remember her being there.
It was just the three of you.
I think so.
And you left the next morning.
We did.
Now, you and Mr. Lacoste started having issues around May of 2014. Is that fair to say?
That sounds about right.
You started to become nervous around him?
I don't really remember if I was nervous around him, but I started thinking it wasn't the right relationship.
He started accusing you of being unfaithful, right?
He did.
He accused you of having an affair with someone.
Where did he get that idea? Oh.
That you had previously dated?
He did.
Excuse me. You told him that you didn't. You denied it.
That's right.
And he didn't believe you.
He did not.
And before...
Well, Wendy, he says that you admitted it, then broke down, and then the next day deny any of that happened. Which is called gaslighting.
This individual that you used to date, you had coffee with at a place called All Saints in Tallahassee, right?
I did.
And Mr. Lacoste saw you having coffee with this individual, right?
He did.
And that caused a confrontation. Is that fair to say?
He flew into a rage.
He flew into a rage. That's a statement that's open to interpretation, isn't it? What does that mean? Is that a clinical definition? Can that be measured by any degree of accuracy that has any bearing in truth? Because every member of that jury has a different picture of what that looks like. And it's another thing that's very common for Wendi, especially when she's on the stand, are statements that are ambiguously suggestive or something. You know, she'll say something that, I mean, it could be technically true. Even if he just slammed the door on his way out of the room, that could be defined as flying into a rage. Or he could have grabbed her head. This is perhaps what he should have done. Fill in the blanks.
Subsequently, he went through your phone and planner, right?
He did.
And this is around May, June of 2014?
That sounds right.
And you and Mr. Lacoste went to Gainesville for a weekend for his work at some point around this time frame.
Yes.
And that Saturday night,
God, I bet that was fun. Yeah, we need something to yeah, be even better than the dinner movie dates. So let's go for a weekend away at your work with your boring work people, so that you can all talk in front of me with your in-work talk that you're used to but no one else understands. That'll be great for me to be a part of. Thanks. Yeah, let's go to your work thing in Gainesville. Maybe we'll be able to get away one evening for dinner and a movie. You know, blow off some steam. No, they're showing. They're showing. What would they be showing? What would a movie be that Jeff would suggest to Wendi? That's a good question. Beethoven 2.
June 28th, he basically exploded at you.
He did.
He yelled at you for hours.
He did.
He accused you of having affairs with multiple people.
He did.
You were very upset.
Yeah. And he didn't even know about 6 of them. Every name he mentioned was correct, but there were actually 6 others.
Upset, to say the least.
I was devastated. Yeah.
Now, you were scheduled to leave for South Florida, I believe it was on June 30th or June 29th, to celebrate your dad's 70th birthday, right?
That sounds right.
And Mr.
I was devastated, Mr. Rashbaum. I cannot tell you how devastated I was. I had never been through such devastation in my relatively undevastated life. Even after my devastating divorce, it did not compare to how devastated I was on that devastating day when Jeff flew into a rage. I was so devastated, in fact, that I had to confide in my friend Jane, which is why she thought of him first in my interview and not me. So definitely didn't want to point police in his direction. Not one bit. I didn't even remember him first. I didn't even remember I had a boyfriend called Jeff.
Lacoste wasn't invited.
No.
You went down to South Florida on June 30th, and you and the boys stayed with your parents, right?
We did.
You had the boys with you the whole time.
Yes.
Dan Markel didn't have the boys at that point in time. The boys were with you.
Yes.
And Charlie knew that, right?
Yes, he was with us.
Your mom planned a big party for the birthday.
She did.
Now, I think when Miss Kappelman asked you if the birthday fell on a Saturday, you weren't sure.
I remembered it being on his actual birthday, which
You got to say that how things played out for Charlie Adelson in the end, that he might wish now that he'd put a bit more effort into his appearance in his murder trial, right? This is the moment in his life where he was most visible to the eyes of the world. Millions and millions of people have glared at him for significant portions of their lives. This is how he will be remembered. Forever. Carved into time as a pale, pie-faced, sweaty, mess of someone trying to look not guilty, but also sad for his nephews at the same time, and having some difficulty in establishing what that looks like, clearly. My nephews didn't deserve what happened to Dan. I wouldn't have a beer with him, but my nephews should have a dad. He was a great dad. Not a jet ski beer dad like me, but a good dad. And I love my nephews.
I thought was a Saturday, but I don't remember the calendar from 2014.
May I approach Your Honor with Defendant's Exhibit 25? Ms. Adelson, does this refresh your recollection that July 5th, 2014 was on a Saturday?
Yes.
And that the party was at 7:30 p.m. or
Yes.
thereabouts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a happy occasion that July 5th is actually Harvey Adelson's birthday, and it happened to fall on a Saturday that year. But do you really think that the Adelsons would throw such an event on a Wednesday afternoon when people would have an excuse not to come? Less guests? No, I would probably say that every birthday they've ever had in their family, as far as the party or occasion that requires the sending of invitations and booking, paella chef booking, paper plates, got to get those in, solo cups. Every birthday they've ever had has been on a Saturday, surely. Saturday's the day.
Put that aside.
In fact, it's the only day of the week if you take into account a Monday to Friday life, working life that's apparently common, I hear. Perhaps. You don't want to do it on the Friday because people are going to be finishing work. You don't want to do it on the Sunday because people have got work tomorrow. The only day of the week you do it is Saturday. It just happened that year that Harvey Adelson's birthday landed on a Saturday. But the reality is, you could ask Wendi Adelson, what date was Harvey Adelson's birthday held on in 1991? And she could say the truth, which is, well, we always have birthdays on Saturdays in our family.
Now, when you got back to Tallahassee, you saw Mr. Lacoste on July 13th,
That sounds right.
and when you saw him, it was not a good meeting. Is that fair to say? It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. Just occurred to me that Gainesville, the event that Wendi went to tell Jane about, Jane came into the interview, and then we've spoken about Purple Shirt. Whether or not she told Purple Shirt about the Gainesville bust-up, we won't ever know for sure because Investigator Cherry didn't ask the right questions, unfortunately. But the trip down to Miami for Harvey's Adelson's 70th birthday happened after Gainesville, but before murder. And we've never heard it said from Katie or Yindra that she mentioned this, oh, crazy Jeff. Oh, you know that Jeff, Katie, that you met back in March? Yeah, he flew into a rage thug. I know, he was so nice when we were at Yardbird. But then he flew into a rage. Jealousy in his blood. Never heard it come up from there, right? She's running all over Tallahassee, telling Jane, potentially telling Purple Shirt, other people about jealous Jeff. But not Katie that I've ever heard about. Even though the only time they'd met previously was with Jeff. And it was probably only polite of Katie to ask, how you doing? How's Jeff? It's perfectly reasonable that there was a good excuse for Jeff to come up at the beach meeting. We know Wendi likes talking about Gainesville and the rage and how devastated she was, right? But it didn't come up of her second of two meetings with a key person that had met Jeff, and it would be completely reasonable and probably only polite to ask, how's Jeff, right?
You saw him the next day at a yoga studio,
I went to yoga and he wanted to come.
and it was awkward.
Yeah, followed me in. He's not even a member. He just pushed his way in. He said, I'm doing yoga now. There's something funny about Jeff on the floor doing yoga in a room full of men that have been sleeping with Wendi. Everybody in there, all in different positions, yoga positions. They do the drunk monkey, the upside down elephant trunk. That's a good one.
It was.
And kind of tense.
It was.
And he asked to see you again later that week,
He did.
and you didn't want to.
I did not.
And when you got home that night, you sent him an email asking him not to contact you for at least 7 days, that you wanted to think things over. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, so we spent 2 weeks apart. Then I got back, saw him, acted okay for a bit, went cold, and then wrote to him saying I need space. Just got back, 2 weeks in Miami, but you know what? That wasn't enough. I need space while I'm in Tallahassee so I can experience the wonder of being in Tallahassee without Jeff, to see if it's Jeff I miss or Tallahassee and Jeff, or unbelievable.
You never saw him again, right?
No.
What have you lost your place, Daniel Rashbaum? I mean, fucking hell. You see all those colourful tabs on George's file? Get some of those tabs tomorrow, Staples.
Are you now aware that there was a first attempt on your ex-husband's life on June 4th and June 4th, 5th of 2014?
Yes.
When you lived with Professor Markel on Trescott, was your address publicly listed?
I believe so.
Can I have one moment, Your Honor?
He takes up a lot of time, doesn't he? I mean, leaving that much dead air in the room is not, it doesn't please anybody, does it? And it gives everybody enough space to think, does this guy have any idea what he's doing? And of course the answer is not much.
Judge, at this point in time, we'd ask a stipulation be read into evidence.
Which stipulation?
The stipulation regarding the drop-off pickup schedule for the Markel children.
Very well.
Do you need a copy, Your Honor?
I have it right here. I'm just bringing up instruction 2.3.
Man, I've seen sidebars get dealt with quicker than Daniel Rashbaum looking for his fucking files. Too much time. Poor Judge Everett could have gone back to chambers and made himself a piece of toast. Buttered on both sides. 7 slices, please.
Members of the jury, when the parties agree that certain facts are true, that is called a stipulation of fact, you must accept stipulated facts as having been proven. However, the significance of these facts, as with all facts, is for you to decide. In this case, the stipulated facts that you must accept are true are: the Markel children were enrolled at Creative Preschool located in Tallahassee. During the week of July 14th, 2024, their drop-off pickup schedule was as follows. Monday, July 14th, 2024, dropped off at 8:55 a.m. by Dan Markel.
Okay, as much as I enjoy listening to the honey-drizzled tones of Judge E, we've kind of come off this subject, haven't we? What are we on here? What line of questioning? Because this isn't a Daniel Rashbaum Wendi feature.
2014, as Your Honor just recited, do you recall dropping the kids off at school at 8:30 in the morning?
Yes.
And
Okay, we're going back to events of the day. So, you know what I want to do? I want to go back to Purple Shirt and watch the whole thing. It's not long. It's about 30 minutes.
You got the kids to bed?
No, actually, my husband's got him in the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Nothing like something to hurry you along than your husband waiting with the kids in the car. I mean, that's pressure if you're going into the food market and looking for the right milk or something, whatever, your brand of X. But in a police interview situation, TikTok, let's go. The car is running.
I'm Investigator Cherry. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And plus, this whole interview, as we've said before, plays out like some sort of weird date, maybe a Tinder match, where she's more into him than he is her. But she knows she's being really obvious about it. And is sort of giddy. That's kind of the vibe. It's funny.
Obviously, what we're doing is we're just getting a lot of information, as much information we can, to try to narrow a focus of where the investigation needs to go. So, you know, it's similar to the movies as far as we got to dive in the victim's life, and we have to learn about Daniel as fast as we can.
Right.
Okay. So, this is basically you promising to tell the truth.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Investigator Cherry. I am conducting an official investigation as at this point as an attempted murder.
Okay.
See, he's not even pronounced dead yet, right? So I mean, obviously the time's on the screen, but Jeff has been mentioned by Wendi and Jane and put forward by both, less directly by Wendi, but certainly by Jane, put forward as a primary suspect. No other way to describe it. And Purple Shirt goes into mentioning Wendi bringing the boyfriend, and there's zero questions about him also. It would be good to know exactly when they received the verification that he was in a Kmart in Georgia, or where was he? Maybe he'd already got to Tennessee. No, he wouldn't have got to. It doesn't matter. When did they get that verification? Probably not yet, right? It's very early on, and so it would have only been mentioned 2 hours ago. I don't know if they could be that quick. Generalison hasn't been laying down the vibes of a marathon or sprint, 100 meters sprint marathon runner.
Professor Markel picked them up at 4:45 p.m. on that day, thereabouts.
Which I just heard, but I wouldn't have known what time.
You didn't pick them up.
I didn't. No, it wasn't my day.
So it would be impossible.
Again, very similar to the thing that she did with Jane, the correction thing. What did Jane say? Wendy's been dating a guy called Jeff. And then Wendy cuts in real quick. What did she say? Who's a friend of Jane's? Continue, Jane. Continue painting Jeff's name on the wall. You're doing good, Jane, but I just wanted to establish that he was a friend of yours before he murdered my ex. And now we're going to make sure he pay.
The person would be wrong if they said that they saw you and the kids by Professor Markel's house in the afternoon or morning of July 17, 2014, correct?
It would be some other woman and some other kids.
You spoke to your mom probably close to daily, right?
Yeah,
During this time period. She would know when you had the kids and didn't have the kids, right?
probably.
Now I want to go back to something briefly that we talked about yesterday before we stopped. You knew that Professor Markel posted his travel plans on Facebook and on his prof's blog, right?
Yes.
He would talk about places.
Any false statements about material matters given by a witness under oath will constitute perjury, which is a first-degree misdemeanor according to Section 837 Florida statutes. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give me is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you knowingly make material misstatements of fact to me during this investigation, you will have committed the crime of perjury?
Yes.
All right, Ryan, if you would just sign that. Ryan Cox, C-O-X. Okay. Well. Okay.
Brian Cox. What did he say?
Ryan Cox, C-O-X. Okay. Well. Okay. All right. Obviously, I have your phone number.
Yeah.
What's your address?
3649 Barbary, which is Barbary Drive, 32309.
What's your birthday?
12180.
Okay. How do you know Daniel?
I know Daniel from law school. So I met him, I was still a law student when he moved down from when he was teaching up in New York, when he was engaged to Wendi. And I met both of them around the same time. Wendi had been friends, had gone to high school and college and also law school for part of the time with a good friend of mine in South Florida. So we met each other in the law school and started talking.
Okay, that's enough to be a close relationship. They've known each other for about 10 years, right? When they were engaged, pre-06, at law school, and Wendi went to high school and college and law school with a really close friend of Purple Shirt, right? Big bond, big bond.
Places in common.
Talking about South Florida, and kind of became, I guess, quick friends then, and then I started to get to know Dan. I didn't know them very well in law school, but they're also members of my temple. So I would see them when I came back up. I was a public defender down in Broward, and he would teach criminal law, so he talked to me a few times about coming and talking to his class about, I guess, what it was like to practice post law school. And then when I moved back, we talked a lot about getting together. And then him and I became close once I found out that they were divorced. I kind of reached out to him in terms of ways to raise my son Jewish. I'm in an interfaith marriage, so I kind of reached out to him in terms of getting some tips on how to do it on my own, and we started doing Shabbat dinners together and things like that. Just kind of became close after that.
So she was going through a divorce as a practicing Jew in a no-faith marriage and wanted advice from Dan about how to raise the child Jewish because he had just been through divorce. I mean,
year.
And then doing Shabbat dinners together and so on. Yeah. Sounds like she was making a move.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are you a lawyer now?
Yeah.
Where at?
I practice at the legislature. I do policy now, so
Okay.
I don't do trial work anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Why is that? Did you wake up one day and think, God, am I assertive enough to be a trial attorney? I mean, she's very nice and everything, but she's just a good person, right? Just a good person. Just Suze, how you doing? Good to see you. Lisa. Paul M, classic Paul M. R. Raguso, good to see. Maria, hello. Janny Lee, great. Isom was the worst detective I have ever seen interviewing a witness / suspect. He is a wuss, horrible. He just literally gave Wendi a jail pass. I can't stand him. Well, I agree with everything you've said, but I actually quite like him. And I think I'd be comfortable as a guest in his house. I think he'd see to that. And I'm sure I'd eat well and, just invited to make myself feel at home. And I've never thought the same thing about Pat Sanford, even though he might be a slightly more effective law enforcement officer.
When was the last time you saw Daniel?
Last Sunday at the park. At Park. Yeah.
Okay. What were you guys just hanging out or
Play date,
play
yeah.
date with the kids?
He had just gotten back in town from New York and sent a bunch of us of the creative families a message, and there was a bunch of us there, actually.
Creative, you mean in
The preschool.
preschool?
Yeah. My son also goes there. So.
Yeah, as soon as I worked out that I was divorcing my husband, I enrolled my son, and I got the name of where Dan's kids went to school and switched my son to that school.
There was probably about, I would say, 6 creative families there.
Do you think mothers do that? Just, fuck with their children's pattern of education to get dates. What school does that... You're moving school again, boy. There's a new dad across town. He's a fireman.
When was the last time you talked to him?
That was the last time.
That was?
Yeah.
No communications via Facebook or?
I can check. I feel like that he had messaged about what he wanted to do for the boy's birthday, but I feel like that was before last Sunday, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Oh, I just said hello to all these people. I said hello to Trace Face. Hello and happy Friday. I thought it was Saturday. Well, it is now for me. Veggie Girl. Hello. Riding Shotgun. Hello. Hee Haw. I6U. This is excruciating. Rashbaum is dreadful. Well, he's only dreadful if you believe that he's in there trying to do anything other than make Donna believe that he's doing a good job. Because he's great at that. He's a genius at that. But if you think he's in here trying to win or believing in his case or, not going anything above the basic principles of conducting a defense case in trial, he's terrible at that, but he only needs to do enough of it to keep that smoke screen going to Donna so she can keep signing those checks. And he's fucking Leonardo da Vinci at doing that. Those little Jewish cakes that he would bring. Oh, just, I bakery on my way here. I didn't want to show up empty-handed. Oh, classic. He's a wizard.
Yeah, if you don't mind,
No,
actually,
not at all.
obviously we have ways. Obviously we can do Facebook stuff, but sometimes when you're actually
Melissa Hurst. This is Purple Shirt. I think I knew her name once. I'm looking out if it's mentioned somewhere hidden in this interview, but I did a brief search. Nothing came up. But I have her birthday, her phone number, her address, her husband's name, which unfortunately is Charlie. Try finding a needle haystack called Charlie in this case, because all search terms come back to, you guessed it. Yeah, I'm sure I have found, but it's a long-standing friend of both Dan and Wendi, having met them before they were married, around the same time, and going to one of Purple Shirt's very close friends, going to high school and college with Wendi herself in South Florida. You see, I'd like to know who that friend is and then speak to them.
friends and stuff, you have a little bit more information
Right.
on that page. I would want to take a look.
It was, he messaged later that afternoon about going to Truesdale
That's
with the
Sunday.
kids, yeah. And I was cooking dinner for my stepdad, so I didn't end up going. But
What is it called? Tuesdale. It should be called Jewsdale. Every weekend he's loading up the car. Come on, we're going to Jewsdale again. Classic.
And then
He's a
he
zealot.
messaged-
He wants to go to Jewsdale all the time.
Yeah, the other time was Saturday, so he was talking about doing Truesdale or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Can you
looking for-
pull up his Facebook?
Yeah. And I don't have a lot of battery. I tried to charge when I came up here, but.
He visited California last week. So
He visited California last week. That doesn't seem accurate. I've not heard that mentioned anywhere else. Dan Markel in California the week before he was shot, and having plans to go to New York City on that weekend. Seems like a lot of flying.
I guess, right? We definitely, we would see each other a lot at the park. We did a lot of play dates at the park. We did some Shabbat dinners together.
Yeah. We happened to bump into each other a lot at places and times where I knew he'd be. No, my son happens to go to the same school as his boys. So we bump into each other at the school. I'm recently divorced. I bet it happens more than we know, right? People don't admit that, even to close friends. I'm changing my son's school because I'm interested in one of the dads. Don't admit that. If that's you, don't tell a soul.
We did synagogue stuff together, but there was not a lot of.
This
What was that? We did some what?
We did synagogue stuff together, but there was not a lot of.
Synagogue stuff together, right?
This I don't know, this prof's blog.
Yes.
What is that?
That is, he started that blog. He writes articles for that blog. And my understanding, I've actually never been on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank fuck.
There's a lot of professors that do criminal law that all kind of contribute on the blog. So.
Do you think it's the sort of thing that all of those contributing professors, when he died, said to one another, listen, guys, we've got to keep this going. This was his baby. This was his dream. He ran this. He started this. We've got to keep it going in memory and respect and honor of our friend and colleague, Dan Markel, the great friend and colleague, brother, son, mentor, and friend, Dan Markel. And then 6 weeks later, they're like, okay, so who's going to do a post this week? Who's writing an article for the blog? People lose interest quick, don't they?
You wouldn't happen to know the passcode on his phone or iPad?
No. That's New York.
I don't know.
Oh, I think it's Play-Doh.
Play-Doh?
Yeah.
That's New York. Yeah, I know. I can tell from the fucking Statue of Liberty. New York.
Yeah.
Has he been unusually stressed in the last week or so about anything particular?
Not that I'm aware of, but you know, like I said, there.
You see, these are the standards of their leads at the moment. They're going to witnesses, close witnesses that have intimate knowledge of jealous Jeff and all the rest of it. And they're saying, so, has he been unusually stressed about anything this week? It just doesn't feel like they've got the energy for it, does it? Kind of sleepy.
There was a lot of people at the park. I was only there for about an hour, and you know, we didn't get a lot of one-on-one time. The only downside to doing play dates like that is that you're running around with your kids, and so
Right.
my kid likes to run around a lot by himself, so I wasn't really talking with a lot of people, and I definitely didn't get to talk to him much one-on-one, unfortunately.
Oh, big unfortunately, right? And I guess that's because, you know, now she never will be able to speak with him again. You know, you can see why that's unfortunate. But in the context of her chasing him, it's quite funny. Yeah, I was only there for about an hour. He didn't show me much attention at all and didn't even notice or comment on my new hairstyle, which I just had done special for him. So I left.
Tell me about Wendi and the divorce and how that shook out.
Yeah, it was a pretty bitter divorce. I mean, I will be honest, I have never heard her side. Her and I have not had any one-on-one time since the divorce happened, so I know.
Okay, so this goes back to the context of Wendi arriving at her son's birthday party, right? She hasn't spoken to Wendi at all since the divorce happened, hasn't heard Wendi's side, right? Which is incredible. But again, the first time that Wendi ever saw Purple Shirt after the divorce with Dan, after leaving, no contact since then. The first time Wendi sees Purple Shirt is when she attended Purple Shirt's son's birthday party with Jeff and Ben and Lincoln, and made announcement. This is Jeff, my new boyfriend. We met in October. And clearly, as I'm bringing him with my sons to another young child's birthday party, this is heading in a direction where he's involved in these precious portions of my life. We're getting close, is what it says, right? It's getting serious. An event like that, if it was some cocktail party, a work thing or whatever, that would be a completely different message. Introducing Jeff there, it could just look like another guy she's fucking, right? But bringing him to a children's birthday party is a display of a certain type of relationship that is becoming lasting. And that is clearly intentional, perhaps. No contact since divorce. Wendi she hasn't heard Wendi's side. She doesn't even know about the how she left the apartment. You can tell. She's going to mention it in a second. She's only saying since she moved out or changed the locks or whatever. Doesn't even have a clear image of that crushing scene.
what he told me of his side. It was, my understanding was that pretty much just one day she filed and changed the locks and kind of, from his statements, it was not really expected. And then I think it was about, I'm trying to remember the timing, September, I think was when she moved out, and
Even here, she's shrugging that off as, well, you know, I haven't heard her side of the story, so I've only heard from him, so, you know, I don't know if it's accurate. Lets her off the hook, right? saying I've only heard this from him casts doubt on the truth, on the trueness, on the veracity of whatever Dan said she did, right? And it's just being polite. Like I said, she's just a nice person.
finalized in August, so almost a year of, and they were just about to go to trial. I know when it settled.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just about to go to trial and lose. And he was murdered. And the cops don't even sniff around that. I mean, what? Was there anything coming up for Dan? You know, that someone would kill for? What was in his future in the next weeks or months? Oh, there's this trial with his ex-wife. Brutal, hostile trial. That all indicators say he will prevail at, and she will be sanctioned. Well, that's probably nothing. What about Amy Adler's ex-husband? Where was he at 11 a.m.?
You know, he never told me any financial, any stuff like that. I mean, the only stuff he kind of talked to me about was she wouldn't let him Skype and things like that when she had the boys and, things like that. But I mean, I know that it did.
Yeah, or when she did put them on Skype, she made damn sure that there was a pile of bacon that they were both eating from with their bare hands.
Shock him, and he
So it was like a sudden change of heart, according to him.
Yeah. And
According to him.
Like I said, I have never talked to Wendi about it. Him and I.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we
yep,
would talk,
yep.
but a lot of times.
I never talked to Wendi about it. Every jug has two handles.
Again, we were having dinner with the boys, and I tried to not talk too much when they're there, you know, especially because it was pretty, I mean, they had been living separately for about a year at that point, but it was still pretty new. I do know in the last 6 months he had started dating someone up in New York, and that seemed to be very positive in his life. I also know Wendi.
You saw a difference?
Yeah. I mean, he was never, well, he was depressed, and he had a difficult time with it. And when I say depressed, I mean, it was just dealing with the change. Never, ever would have done anything. I mean, he loved those boys beyond all belief. So it was never, he definitely put his game face on, you know, and really loved every minute that he had the boys. And missed them terribly when he was gone. And so I think that was his hardest thing to adjust to, was being away from them. You know, but I think there was just, I guess, hope again kind of started to set in. You know, I really only talked to him once about her. But he had been
New York?
The girl in New York, yeah. And he went up there a lot. He was teaching up there. He was doing I don't want to say a seminar, but he was doing a class where he'd go up once a month and do a seminar or something like that. And he met her through that, and then would see her I guess once a month he would see her when he went up there. And I think she was coming down here some as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like she was. I also know Wendy's dating someone because she brought him to my son's birthday party at the park. I don't remember, I mean, I kind of remember what he looks like, but I don't remember his name or anything like that.
What is it? How long ago was it?
Don't be hard on yourself. You got it down. What was it? Pale. We'll let her tell it.
That was May 21st, I want to say. It was the middle of the week. Let's see. I don't know if there's date information on it. Actually, if I go to these, I'm pretty sure it was May 21st. Yeah, it was May 21st.
What did he look like?
He was tall, skinny. I'm sorry. He was definitely 5'8" to 6 foot. I'm short, so narrowing it down much. Right, exactly. Narrowing it down from that is a little difficult, but he was definitely lanky. Blonde hair, kind of. I don't want to say mohawk, but clean cut, but then hair kind of pull it up in the front, and then he wore glasses. I don't really remember what the frames look like. Pale complexion, and that's about all I remember. I went through on the way over here. I went through my phone to see if he was in any of the pictures that were taken, and he's not. Okay. But I know she'd said they've been dating. I think she said she met him in October of last year, but aside from that, I don't know anything about him.
What so he teaches at the law school?
Yeah, he teaches criminal law and criminal procedure.
How long has he been doing that?
He's been at this law school he came in 2006, I want to say, I think. But then he taught at Harvard before then. I think it was Harvard. I'm pretty sure he taught at Harvard before. Okay. He's been teaching, I would probably say, for 15 years, I believe.
Conferences that he was speaking at.
Maybe a little longer, but.
No, he had dreams of teaching at Harvard, is what he says. Had these fantasy dreams.
And how's his style? Is he well accepted? Is he
Yeah.
abrasive or?
I never had him. I have heard from other people that he is kind of a hard-ass professor. But that's law school also, so, most...
So it's to be expected.
Right. I did hear he was more intense than some other ones, but... Which did come as a surprise to me because he's not at all like that outside of school, so...
Did he ever complain about any kind of students or anything?
Not to me.
Not to you?
No.
No,
but
who do you think he would confide in stuff like that at?
I would say friends that he was professors that he was friends with.
Do you know anybody like that?
I don't. But I graduated in 07 and I moved back to South Florida and then I came back up later. So that was not really my world. I know that there are a couple other Dan Markels actually, who are also members of our temple. They teach different things. I don't know if he was close to them, but that's the only, I'm trying to think of other.
They weren't related?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No,
that's interesting.
Really random, yeah. Especially that they all ended up at Florida State Law and they're all members of Shamray Torah. I do know that at Shamray Torah...
That's the name of the
temple. Yeah, SHOM.
What the fuck? Hang on.
REI.
Can you imagine the fucking panic that was going around Tallahassee? There's 2 other Dan Markels that are both working at FSU and both members of Shamray Torah. Have you heard? Dan Markel's been shot. And then they say, which one? The one that works at FSU. They all work at FSU. Okay, the one that's at Chambry Torah. There must have been confusion and people crying and rushing to the hospital. Where's Dan? Where's Dan? What have they done to Dan? And you know, there's at least 2 that we know about. Very relieved families out there that finally learned that their Dan Markel was okay. What a nightmare. And fucking you trusted Sigfredo and Luis with that. Hey, I want you to go and kill this guy. Okay, what's his name? Dan Markel. Where does he live? Tallahassee. Okay, where does he work? FSU. Okay, we'll get him. We'll get him. It's $100,000. Imagine if they'd have killed all 3. Today in Tallahassee, 3 professors at FSU, all called Dan Markel, were shot dead in their their individual garages. Yeah, but just think of that. People rushing to the hospital. Where's Dan? What have they done to Dan? Love it. I love it. What a great element to this story. Oh. There were 2 other guys with the same name, with the same job and faith.
Yeah, Torah.
Okay, where is that at?
That's on Cary Forest Parkway. I know he's close with Sam Kimmelman there.
At the church?
Yeah.
Sam Kimmel?
Yeah, Kimelman.
Do you have a phone number for Sam?
No, but I know my stepdad does, and I can find. Actually, let me see. I might.
My stepdad does. Something about this purple shirt says stepdad, doesn't it? I never knew my real father. He left. He wasn't interested. Just like all the men in my life. But I've got a great stepdad.
And also, I've got the directory
Mm-hmm.
at home, so anyone I can get you. And I can also, this may still be his number. It's 264-3480.
3480?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of other people that I'll go through the directory and see if any names are ringing a bell, just in terms of who he spent a lot of time with.
Did you ever hear him talk about firearms or owning a gun or anything like that?
No. We didn't really talk about that. I certainly don't remember him talking about that. But I don't know if that's just because he didn't or because it didn't ever come up.
Right.
I mean, it's
Right.
not something I generally talk about. I don't know anymore or anything like that, so. Yeah. I mean, I know. Yeah, trust me, I wish I knew more. You know, we had started to become close. Wendi and I have recently talked more often. My husband and I had separated for several months. And so.
Wendi and I have recently talked more often, ever since she introduced Jeff. I think it's undeniable that Wendi was directly feeding the right kind of information to Purple Shirt for Purple Shirt to have the eventual impression by the time of murder morning, which Wendi phoned Purple Shirt on to ask how was the soup. Another soup call. I need a good reason to call this person on the murder day. So, how about a soup call? Fed Purple Shirt the right information for Purple Shirt to have the eventual impression that Wendi was in a relationship with Jeff that was heading in a serious direction because she felt comfortable enough and that it was appropriate for her to bring him to a children's birthday party with her 2 young sons and Purple Shirt's young son. And that he then flew into a jealous rage and was a thug and threw a coffee table at her day planner and, looked like he just snapped. A desperate man. A man who would kill. And I don't think that Wendi was doing that to everybody. She was just very good at selecting the right people to tell that she knew would be speaking to police. She seemed to have a sense for that. And I guess with this individual there's been recent contact, and she's a long-standing friend of each of them, both of them. So, yeah, maybe it's obvious, but it's never made obvious to us directly why the police have called her in. I'd like to see a full report.
Her and I had started talking during that time. I reached out to her to try and get details on their kids. Seemed pretty adjusted for having gone through that, so I reached out to her to try and get tips on how they handled that to me.
Yeah, I guess they'll be going through something else now. How did they handle the divorce? Well, what about the murder? Well, they're upset, but not about that.
Make sure that the kids were okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided that Charlie would move back in to deal with some financial stuff, and so she said I could start coming over and staying at the house when she's out of town and things like that. So I mean, there's been more conversation recently with us.
Yeah, did that ever happen? Oh, you can come and stay at the house. And if you want to do a sudden blitzkrieg Visigoth-like sacking of your marital home and disappear with the kids, just take them away unannounced and leave divorce papers on the bed, having prearranged removal vans to take all of your possessions and most of his, I can help you. I have a step-by-step guide on my blog. Come and stay at my home when I'm out of town, which is always. And let's get together next week, after Friday.
But we haven't seen each other one-on-one. She came to my house yesterday to drop off some clothes that the boys had outgrown for my son, and brought me some soup because I had a bladder procedure yesterday. But that's the first time I've seen her since the party, and the party was the first time I had seen her since.
And the party back in May.
Yeah, in May, and that was the first time I'd seen her in.
So it's been really been, not to sound callous, but it's been more about the conversation, been more about your situation than what's really going on.
Again, just brushes over it. And the boyfriend is Jeff. Wendy's been in this room an hour ago talking about Jeff as a suspect, right? They haven't verified he was in fucking a Georgia Kmart in an hour, I don't think. She's talking about it and then saying, yeah, no, we've been talking recently because of my divorce and she's been very nice, but I haven't seen her because we've been so busy. And no, I saw her yesterday, the day before the murder, and she brought soup and old clothes for the boys. And before then, I hadn't seen her since the party in May, which was the first time I'd seen her in a year, not having seen her since before any of this divorce moving out shit happened, and I've never heard her side. But suddenly, she's in my life with Jeff and the day before the murder. Okay.
Her.
Yeah. I mean, she had told me about the boyfriend. Her and I would talk a lot about getting together, and then...
Told you what about the boyfriend? Because I really wish she'd expanded on that, because it's not made clear. But, let's just say it again, because is it told me about the boyfriend like what happened in Gainesville? Like, that would have been... what, 3 or 4 weeks ago? Less than 4 weeks ago. Gainesville. I can't remember the date, but it would have been a week ago. We're Friday now. Last Sunday was yoga. Before then, Wendy was in South Florida for 2 weeks. And then Gainesville was just before that, right? If that's true, and let's assume that it is. Gainesville was 3 weeks ago, and all we get to hear from Purple Shirt, because she kind of goes off onto another idea, and Investigator Cherry never brings her back, was when she said, well, she told me about the boyfriend. And I just don't know if there's anything we can see that tells us whether she meant she told me that a new boyfriend existed, or she told me about the boyfriend and what he did in his jealous rage in Gainesville. It's not clear. And Investigator Cherry never goes there.
We just didn't.
Something would happen.
Exactly. The party was the first time I had seen her since.
And the party back in May.
Yeah, in May. And that was the first time I'd seen her in...
So it's been really been, not to sound callous, but it's been more about the conversation, been more about your situation than what's really going on with her.
Yeah. I mean, she had told me about the boyfriend. Her and I would talk a lot about getting together, and then we just didn't.
Something would happen.
Exactly.
It's another thing we've heard from multiple people, right? Tamara Dempko says, oh yeah, no, I had to cover some of Wendy's classes for her, and she gave me a big hug and told me I was such a good friend and that we'll have to get together for lunch on her as a thank you for being such a good friend. Never happened, right? I get the feeling that's a lot of people get told that, hey, we should really meet up, and then nothing.
Never. Either...
My wife does that all the time.
Right.
I'm getting together with so-and-so, and it's like an hour or two, and she's like, oh yeah, they canceled.
Right. Either I'm tired,
Yeah.
or the kids are sick, or
Yeah.
There's lots of that, especially at preschool.
Yeah.
So.
And I know that as a mother of a young child, and she's also a normal, single, young mother. And And that's another thing that's going on here, isn't it? This woman is exemplifying the type of people in Wendy's circle, and therefore contributing to the overall impression that the police have of Wendy's character. She's surrounded by these kind of little, kind of timid, very nice, very helpful and kind, regular individuals. Those are her associates. And the many, many people of some high-standing status that she was sure to list out in her interview with police. He runs his own veterinarian practice in South Georgia. No, he has a law firm. Yeah, it's under his name. Grossman. Just put Grossman Law. Grossman, Tallahassee. Google will say. It will say. Yeah, and my other associate. I think last week he had dinner with your boss. Yeah. No, they're writing a book. Like me. Did I tell you about my book? All you'll find when you search my minivan are copies of my book. A box full of them. What a symbolic thing to have photographed in the evidence of the search of her vehicle that day, right? A book that some say is autobiographical of its main character shedding a loveless marriage with a hapless Canadian professor husband in NFSU, North Florida State University. Which wouldn't even make sense. You wouldn't call it North Florida State University, would you? I bet there's not a university anywhere in America that follows that pattern. It's either Florida State or North Florida University. If it's about an area, you don't put the word state, because the word state in the name of a university implies, that kind of... does it have any real meaning? It's like the main university. It's that state's university. The others are either specialist or district, Well, that's what it seems like. So I don't think it would happen. I don't think it would ever happen. I'd like to find out. If there's a East Oklahoma State University, that would follow the pattern, right? And I just know that there isn't one. And I bet there isn't one for any state that follows that pattern. But what a symbolic thing to have in the back of the fucking car, a box of those books. And all that they symbolize in their pages.
And we just hadn't really had a chance to do that. We actually talked about it again, doing that next week, when she was over last night. But and she messaged me this morning talking about the soup, and that was at like 9 o'clock. So, but just asking if it was okay.
You know what I was saying about the two-purpose rule that Wendi seems to apply with a certain amount of skill? Having things that create dual opportunities, two opportunities for Wendy to have rather than just one, right? It's a very efficient system. The bringing of the soup served the purpose of many things. I mean, a reason to go round to her house and speak to her the day before Dan was killed. A reason to make herself look like a kind, good-hearted, caring friend that just wanted to bring some good bowl of loving soup to her friend who had had a bladder procedure that day, and donate some of her son's outgrown clothes, which not only shows care for the individual, but care for the planet and the environment. Reuse, reduce, recycle, and try not to kill anyone.
I got it written down. What is your number?
954
Oh.
770.
But it also gave Wendy a pretty fucking lame excuse. And if it's true to what Purple Shirt reports, kind of rude. She phoned me this morning about 9 o'clock to ask me how the soup was. Now, in a situation where you bring soup that you made to someone who is ill or had a bladder procedure or whatever, right? You don't phone them up and ask how it was. Right? I mean, you might throw it in to a conversation about something else, but it shouldn't be your primary reason. Like if you phone up to say, "Oh, hey, did I leave my purse at your place last night? I don't know where it is. Did I leave it on the table when I brought in the soup? Are you feeling better? How was the soup? Did you like it?" That would be okay, right? Because you're calling up for something else. But even then, I mean, no one's going to say, "I didn't like it. I don't know what the fuck you brought me that for." I ordered out. I didn't even eat it. It's in the bin. You know what would have been good? Pizza. Which is what I had. And it was great. Better than your soup. No one's going to say that, are they? Even though they might think it. You wait to be thanked for your gesture. No? Not if you're an Adelson, clearly. But yeah, nevertheless, as shit of an excuse that it is, the soup, that's 3 purposes. 1 bowl of soup that I guarantee, in my opinion, that was store-bought in a packet that she put in a microwave and then put in a fucking saucepan and then drove over there, probably spitting in it and putting a dead bee, just stirring it in and laughing while sitting in the car. Perhaps.
4165.
4165.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. we're kind of casting a really wide net, so it's hard
Okay.
for me to like focus in and ask,
Right.
make sure I ask the right questions.
I understand.
So,
Feel free to call me if.
yeah. So, is there anything that, once you heard that something happened? I mean, did something jump out at you? Just says, "Oh, I really wonder about that one thing."
You see, what investigator just said there, I mean, totally gives the impression of like, listen, there's a lot going on and my head is spinning and to be honest, I'm feeling out of my depth. I mean, that's the impression. That should not be the, I'm overwhelmed. I'm the investigator and I don't know which way to turn. Don't say that to anybody. Oh.
No, I mean, of course, everybody, Scott asked me if Wendy was stable, and, I mean, and
Yeah.
I did.
Silly rumors like that. Maybe if it was a movie. Doesn't happen in real life. I never heard her side. Yeah, we've reconnected and she's been really nice and understanding and helpful and brought me soup and said I could stay at her house when she's away. Because of my divorce, because she understands. Yeah, opportunity, right? This person got in touch with Wendi for advice on going through a divorce and adjusting the children, or child in her case, to that new system. What an opportunity Wendi may have seen, right? Maybe, perhaps. Here's someone vulnerable who needs guidance that I can manipulate with shallow acts of kindness and good deeds, like store-bought soup that I fucking put a dead bee in and laughed about to myself in the car. Yeah, easy prey, low-hanging fruit for Wendi. This is the perfect thing. This is the perfect kind of person for Wendi to, do all the things that she needs to do.
With him, and Dan had told me during the divorce, or right after the divorce, that she had some depression issues and some postpartum issues, and that they were talking about doing counseling, but that they never did that before she moved out or changed the locks, whatever. But I mean, I saw her last night and she seemed fine. She was awkward, but that's because my husband was there and she didn't. I don't know if she realized that he was going to be there. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Because of your situation.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
I didn't take that as her being awkward,
Right, I get you.
because of.
So Kay Knight just got here. This lady reached out to Wendi in 2014. Yeah. So we believe the order is the lady knew both Dan and Wendi from back in 2005, so she's known them for about 10 years. Well, but hadn't had any contact with Wendi since before she left and started divorce proceedings. No contact at all for a year, and then Wendi showed up to her son's birthday party with Ben and Lincoln and Jeff, introducing Jeff as her new boyfriend. And, well, we've been over it a number of times. Go back and have a look again.
Her life, and I don't know how much of. Obviously, I don't want to share things, but I know I can reach out to people at the temple and find out much more of who he.
Yeah,
we'll talk to
anybody. I mean,
Okay.
one of these things. Yeah, if you have information, I mean, it's in. I've worked several cases that are similar in this nature where you're just really casting a wide net. Basically, is Oh, the police will find that out. No.
No.
Yeah, I've had multiple cases that are similar in this nature where you just have to cast a wide net. Again, that just means, listen, on every case that I've ever worked, I've never known which way to go. I'll talk to anyone. Wide net. He's not inspiring confidence.
Come make sure.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather have 10 people come here and tell me the same thing than that one person who I really need to talk to doesn't, assuming that we know about.
Right.
So.
There is a gentleman, Seth Miller, who I know he's close with. I don't know if he would have a better idea of who Dan would talk to at the school, and his wife works at the law library. But I mean, him and I were talking, and he's like, I really don't talk with Dan about anything personal. We kind of stay out of.
Did you guys ever talk? You and Dan ever talk about any kind of cases or anything that he was working on, or anything that he seemed passionate about, or anything like that?
No, but I mean anything criminal law. Well, any of that is.
Apparently, he was working on a case, or was concerned about something that had happened up in New York. I guess there's a case going on where rabbis were charged, like 4 rabbis were charged with like torturing husbands who were refusing to divorce in the Jewish faith or whatever.
Okay.
Are you familiar with any of that stuff?
Mm-mm. But that wouldn't surprise me that he would be involved in something like that.
How's that?
Yeah, I mean,
Just because of his.
the faith. I mean, he's very involved in the Jewish faith. Plus, he lived in New York,
Yeah, he lived in New York for 6 months and now tells people that's where he's from. I think people do that, don't they? He loves cats. Cats is delicatessen, and PJ Bernstein. Bernstein. He has an all-you-can-eat pass.
There's
So
that's
do you
kind
think it
of
would
the
be just
world of his
straight?
crossing.
So it would be fascinating for his religious and
Criminal.
professional beliefs.
Yeah, but also with as much time as he's been spending up there, it wouldn't surprise me if
He's trying to get involved in
that, and then also if maybe one of his students up there, or maybe the woman he's been dating, who I'm 99% sure is also Jewish, knew some of these people, or I mean, it
some of
wouldn't
the people
surprise me
involved.
if some of these, if there's a more personal connection. But that's kind of everything. That definitely melds all of his passions into one, a case like that.
Can you pull up that Facebook thing again? I want to write down his blog thing.
Yeah, it's
I saw it earlier today, and I was like,
Blogs. PRAWFSBLOG.
Say it again.
PRA
AW.
Hold on. Yeah.
Giggle girl.
And do you know the woman's name
The
that
girlfriend.
he's been dating up there?
I almost heard a snort at the end of that giggle, but there wasn't one. But didn't there feel like there should have been? No. One more time. I want us to listen to it one more time, and let's all imagine the following snort together.
Let me, actually, let me just take that. I'll just pull it. And do you know the woman's name?
Hang on.
Can you pull up that Facebook thing again? I want to write down his blog thing.
Yeah, it's
I saw it earlier today, and I was like,
Blogs. PRAWFSBLOG.
Say it again.
PRA
AW.
Hold on. Let me actually, let me just take that. I'll just pull it. And do you know?
And then back to a serious face, right? There was a little hormone release there, wasn't there? There was a giggle, a phantom snort that didn't really exist, a kind of, am I getting up? Am I sitting down? What am I doing? Why am I standing up? Am I nervous? I'll sit down. Serious face. This is a murder investigation. We have to be very serious about these things. Did I just let out an excited giggle? I did, didn't I? I gotta stop doing that. I did that outside creative preschool when I was waiting with Dan, where I bumped into him. Again. I want to see it one more time because it is funny. Watch when she goes back to a serious face after she sits down. There's a moment.
Can you pull
Have
up that Facebook thing again? I want to write down his blog thing.
Yeah, it's
I saw it earlier today. And I was like,
Blogs. PRAWFSBLOG.
Say it again.
PRA
AW.
Hold on. Let me state my apology for it. And do you know the woman's name?
The girl.
That's classic. For a couple of seconds, it was like it's getting cozy in here, right? She's gonna come and sit on his lap, and her ex or her separated husband has moved back into the house for financial reasons. So I bet that's not a reconciliation now. He's moved back in for financial reasons. So that's fun. Yeah. She's probably, sleeping upstairs while he's in the basement. With all of his stuff that's just for him. The pinball machine that he's playing at night while you try and sleep in your echoey house. Yeah. He's probably starving to be taken away, right? Taken away, far away.
He's been dating up there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Do you?
I didn't, no. He just said he was dating a new girl and
And then she went and ate a whole bucket of chocolate vanilla fudge ice cream with chocolate chips.
So, Prof's blog. Now that I take a second, this is like the Boston slang professor's blog.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm so stupid.
no. You're not
Glad you're heading up the investigation. You didn't even get the spelling. It was like profs. What's a prof?
I read it earlier and I was like, man, that doesn't make a damn sense. I'll figure it out later. Okay.
God, this guy couldn't handle the fucking word jumble on the back of the cereal box. We gotta throw a wide net. That's what we gotta do. When we don't have any leads, we talk to anybody in his life.
It probably was the
A joke.
Prof's
Okay.
or the Prof's blog with PROFSBLOG had already been taken
Oh, yeah,
or something
yeah,
like that, so we had to come up with some
So it
variation.
changed a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like she has some experience of that, probably from a business idea that she chose to register and was excited about for a month before, just losing the drive. No results. Backed off completely. What was it? I bet, you know what it was? You know what it probably was? I bet she thought, I know what I'll do. What I'll do is I'll go and make paper mache molds of pregnant women's bellies and turn them into a decorative light for them to have in their home. See, that's the kind of thing that ruined the reputation of small businesses worldwide. Those kinds of ideas. Just the way she said, oh, probably, maybe PROFS blog was already registered and he had to choose a different spelling because it will cost too much to get the proper. So it just smells like she's been through the process with, and I'm not trying to be harsh, but just one of those business ideas that regular people think they can do and fail at immediately. But only after registering the domain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I just didn't know if there was people, if I couldn't reach out to people, if you didn't want me to,
No, just say,
I'll just
hey,
tell them to
hey,
call
listen, the police are looking to talk to anybody and everybody, so
Okay.
if you feel comfortable, give them a call.
Okay.
That's my
Wide
name, my number's on the back. It's
Okay.
it's my desk phone. Where is it?
That one? Okay.
So if I don't answer, leave a message. Feel free. In the world
Yeah.
of great technology,
That's my desk. That's my desk. My work phone, my home phone, and my cell. And this number here goes directly to my shower.
email me.
Email.
I will probably get that quicker.
Okay.
Especially if we're out in the field
Yeah, I'll get it quicker in the shower and always in the morning.
or I'm at home
Yeah.
or whatever. So.
Okay.
That's
How's it looking? Can I not
it's-
answer that?
Too early to tell.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm
Submissive. I'm beneath you, officer. Please. Thank you, please. Yes, sir, officer. Please. Call me anytime. You free tonight?
fortunately we gotta
Will you take me away?
keep a lot of stuff
I
to
understand.
ourselves and everything. So,
I understand.
so people will probably ask you, just keep our conversation.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
to here for now.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, feel free to call me
Yeah,
anytime.
I will.
I got your number, and yeah.
Yeah,
we'll go.
I wish I'd seen him more often
That's
recently.
okay. It's okay.
On many levels. All right.
Wow. Puts all the chairs back, even the one that she wasn't sitting in. I mean, very duteous and very, she wants to send the signal. I care about, being a good person and putting the chairs back neatly and uniformly. Look at it. And she's doing that to signal to the officer, to the investigator, whether subconsciously or not, that I am an appropriate, wise match. because I put the chairs back. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I'd seen him more often
That's
recently.
okay. It's okay.
On many levels. All right.
Come to think of it, I don't think I've seen a single police interview where anybody has put a chair back, their own, let alone another one that they weren't even sitting in. I mean, her purse was on the chair. Maybe she moved the chair when she first came into the room. She was already seated at the beginning of the video, so we don't know for sure. But she did put both of them back, and they look heavy. Not on wheels. Picks up the trash. Fantastic.
Thanks.
And that's it. Is it? Okay, well, you know, that's basically it. I mean, that's the only point I wanted to raise today that I'd never seen before. I mean, we've covered this interview at least twice before on this channel in its entirety. Never really picked up on the Jeff thing, which is really significant. I mean, the Jane revelation where she came into the should we just watch that again briefly, the beginning?
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate. I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, then that's
Jane,
not right.
who would have done this?
I have just
And
one
are they
idea.
going to come after my kids? Or me? Who's next?
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I don't even think of Jeff. I hope to God not.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think you should. I think Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff.
Who's a friend of
Us.
Jane's.
But
And
who's Jeff?
Who's a friend of Jane's?
yeah.
It's just got so much of an air of quick correction without wanting to stop the ball rolling once Jane is rolling that bowling ball right towards Jeff's face. Yeah, I mean, this interview, Wendy's interview, obviously has had a lot more attention, eyes on it, right? It's been seen a lot more. This portion that we're looking at where Wendi asks a very forceful question to Jane, which demands an answer based on the implied fact that Jane will be endangering the lives of the children if she doesn't mention Jeff. It's basically saying there will be blood on your hands if you don't tell the police about Jeff. If you stitch what actually happens together, and the spaces in between what is said are also significant, because when Wendi asks the initial portion of the question, Jane, who could have done this? There is a pause, probably of only about 3 or 4 seconds, but it's just long enough that Wendi ups the ante and says, and are they going to come after my kids? Or me? Who's next? I'm at a loss, Jane. your time to speak, Jane. And by the way, it's a serious situation. A killer is on the loose. And we don't know if my 2 young children are in danger because of that killer. We don't know his intentions. Who could it be, Jane? This portion that is as transparent as it is, on the pie chart of contributing evidence is that have formed the largely felt public opinion of Wendy's knowledge, participation, guilt, blah, 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 blah. This is a significant piece of that pie, a good slice, a judge slice for any judge. And the fact that I've just realized today, even after having seen the interview a number of times and commenting on it in detail at least twice, still only really put it together today, the extent of which Wendi also went to lay out the Jeff situation for another individual that also happened to speak to police on this very day that he was murdered, a person that she had brought soup to the night before, a person who she had called that day in the morning to say, how was that soup that I brought to you? Tell me how much you loved my delicious soup that I made with heart love. A person that she hadn't seen in a year or bothered to put her side of the story, Team Wendi, Team Danny, hadn't seen for a year, blanked, basically. And then showed up at her children's birthday party with her new boyfriend, Jeff. Yeah, it's very clear to me that there's no doubt. Has anyone heard that discussed? Because I've never heard it discussed. I mean, not that I need any more information to support my idea of Wendy's guilt. My own opinion, my own idea is what it is. And also, another example of just how fucking disappointing Tallahassee Police Department were in the initial stages of this investigation. I mean, it's hard to imagine any investigator less effective than General Isom was as lead in the Wendi interview. But Investigator Cherry with purple shirt, even worse. Even worse. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there for tonight and come back real soon at a time that we don't know and can't commit to directly. But we'll do our best to give you as much notice as possible. Good night. Thank you for coming. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for coffee go-getting and super chatting and all of those great things. Thank you to the moderators for being here and for being strong and for being great. Yeah, and we're working on a number of things. They all take time, a lot of time. And they're fucking fractals, man. You go into one idea, and then while you're watching 3 hours of testimony, 5 other things come up. And you end up trying to do all of them at once. So we need to prioritize a few things, I think. But we've got some great stuff coming out soon. So be sure to look out for that. Subscribe to the channel, like, share, leave a comment, support the channel on all the links in the description, and come back when we announce that we will be here. Thank you. Good night.